There's so many questions about life, but it's just like I want to find the truth and how I can be my best self, build the best foundation, so then I can give that out. I can give that energy and love out to people that are close to me, that I love, and even those that maybe I'm not even aware of, like the animals.
Hi everybody, welcome back to The Vegan View. So today we have a Team USA men's volleyball player, Dustin Watten. And we're going to talk a little bit about your performance being plant-based and a little bit about your philosophy on life, because I love following him. You're so loaded full of information and helpful things that I think anyone could benefit from. So I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a fun journey, and really everything kind of started manifesting once I made the switch over to plant-based, and so I owe a lot to that, pretty much by chance. But
how did that come about?
I play indoor men's volleyball, and there's two distinct seasons. We have national team season, which is right now in the summer, and then usually from September to May we have to play professional volleyball. So we kind of go our own separate ways, and since we don't have a domestic league in America, we have to live in either Europe, Asia, or South America.
Right, you're always traveling.
And so, I mean, it's a lot of alone time, but it's really fun because you are forced to kind of solve tons of problems, because it can be very dramatic in Europe.
Right.
I've played in Brazil, very dramatic in that as well. So you're just by yourself like, how do I figure this out?
Right.
But so my first 2 years I played in Finland. I played in the same team. First year I killed it, played great. Second year, I think I was a little too focused on the team being great, and that was a little silly looking back, as I can't really control that. I have a little bit, but I can't really fully control that.
That's really interesting, because you're on a team. And it must be a lot of difficulty knowing that you don't have that control over every individual.
Yeah, so it's like the dichotomy of control, where it's like, we believe we have much more in our control than we actually do. And so like what's really up in my control, and that's like my beliefs, my ability to set goals, and my actions. But it's not the team doing well, or even myself personally playing well. There's a lot of things outside of my control. But anyway, so that year I was so clear on the team had to play well for me to get a better contract and move on. That wasn't happening, and so I decided I needed to start reading, because at the time I was really invested into being in great shape, but I also played a lot of computer games on my free time, and so I was like, I think I can be a little better, and I started reading as much as I could, especially mindset books and sports psychology.
Right.
And so fast forward, I was able to finish here strong, got a contract. I was going to France.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, I'm in, start reading more. Like, this is a habit I want to continue. And so I went to Barnes & Noble's, and I was kind of in a rush, and so I went to the sports section, grabbed a couple books, and the last book I grabbed was this guy with his shirt off running, and he was really ripped, and I was like, I think I can learn something from this guy, and just like grabbed it, and it happened to be Rich Roll's book, Finding Ultra.
Oh my gosh.
And at the time, I liked reading, but I wasn't really great at reading, and so I got on the plane, opened up the first 4 books, read maybe 5 pages, next book. I got to Rich's book, and it was just like, oh man, like it was just like synchronicity. Like everything that he experienced as a kid was pretty much what I experienced, but in California.
Oh, no way.
And so living in, I think it was Michigan, swimming wasn't very popular. Even though in Southern California it's really popular, the school I went to, it was like complete opposite. Like I get clowned on, like, oh, do you wear spandex? I didn't know it was a boys sport. And so it wasn't really supported, but I just loved it. It was just like deep inside me. I wasn't very good at first, but I just wanted to get better. And so kind of developed this personality where it's just whatever I do, I'm just going to go 100%. Same like Rich, kind of getting to college. I get introduced to the party scene, same thing, going 100%. But eventually I kind of fell out of that like Rich. Rich wasn't a great swimmer, but he was just so passionate about it and kept on going. For me, I was like awful at volleyball. I was always I was a basketball and soccer guy, and the first tournament I went to, my team, it was like a nationwide tournament. My team, there's 2 divisions. My team played in the second division. We literally got dead last.
Oh no.
And so I was like, all right, like I was pretty arrogant, and I was like, all right, like I got humbled pretty quickly, and I was like, I'm at the bottom, and really the only way I can go is up. And so I think what a lot of kids are facing now is kind of this outcome based where it's like, I'm a winner or a loser. For me, it was just like, well, I'm a loser. And so it's just like process, let's just keep on going.
Right.
And so all throughout my career is just like trying to find different edges. A lot of it growing up was playing beach volleyball. I just go down every day and play with my dad. He was a teacher, so we were able to go down and bum it at the beach. But as I got older and was playing in better foundations like college, eventually professional, I had to up it. So, big into weightlifting, watching video, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, journaling, whatever it may be. But I always wanted to find different edges outside of volleyball to catch me up with everyone else. Because even in college, my first year I was a redshirt, so I just practiced. Whereas my counterparts in Europe were already playing professionally.
Wow.
And I didn't start playing professionally until I was 24. So there's a lot of like catching up I had to do.
So do people start playing professionally at a certain age?
17 or 18.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so if they're really good, they play with their junior national team and they'll get picked up when they're 17 or 18.
Wow. Okay, I had no idea that's how it worked.
Yeah.
I was not very athletic at
all. And so, anyway, so that brought me to kind of Rich's book, and I read it, and I read the whole thing on the flight. And first thought was like, how did I do this? Like, how did I read a book this quickly? But I was like, man, what am I gonna do? Because before I was like, I was trying to live like this alpha athlete life where I was like, more protein I get, the stronger I get, the better I'm gonna be at sports. So like Chipotle, Subway, always, double meat. And like, this was my mindset. I think like most athletes, because
I mean, I did that too.
Yeah, we can go deeper, but like I feel like overall, like we're pretty programmed. Like our subconscious is programmed. But I read the book and I was like, wow, if you can do this at 39, I'm 25. What could I do if it? For sure, no one else in the volleyball world is doing this. And I put the book down. I remember looking at the map. I had like 10 minutes left. I was like, guess I'm gonna go plant-based.
That's crazy.
And I was going pretty much to vegan hell in south of France, where everything is cheese,
south of France especially,
butter, meat.
Very dairy heavy.
I had no idea what I was getting into, but the thing is, where I think a lot of people fail in their curiosity to go plant-based is the scarcity.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss my mom's cooking. Like, social, what am I gonna do?
Everything you're gonna gain.
Exactly. So I was just so focused on the end. Like, this could be so great. And so I had so many roadblocks. I stumbled so much, but luckily I had a mom who was a first grade teacher, so she kept on sending me out books. I read Brendan Brazier's book. I read Scott Jurek's book, and then eventually I got to China Study.
Yeah.
China Study was a test. I was just like, do I really want to continue reading this?
Dense.
But I read it, and the only really time where it got stressful around the house for my parents was when my dad would go and get his blood tests, because we had lost so many people in his side of the family through heart problems.
Oh yeah.
So I read this, and I was like, Dad, I got pretty good news for you. And so along with me, he went vegan. And I think it was really difficult for him too, because he was always the provider of the household. Whether it was gardening, cleaning the house, he wanted to provide cooking. And so he had to pretty much throw all of his recipes off the table. After a while, my mom and I just started buying any and every cookbook, and now it's just like the flavors, the colors that he's creating are so amazing.
Does he have an Instagram?
No.
Can you start one? I know. I am intrigued.
So that's another kind of big, I think, misconception about veganism. It's like a scarcity of the food.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like every day it was like pasta and meat.
Yeah.
Whereas you have Indian cuisine, Thai cuisine, Vietnamese,
you get so much more variety.
Colors, information, you learn more about food, spices, how to cook it. That began my journey. I've always just been curious to be a better version of myself. And that's just kind of led me going vegan, and then plant-based, and then really getting into superfoods, smoothies, which I know you don't like.
How do you know that?
But it's been a fun journey. I think I was very insecure at first because I got,
how did you deal with that with everyone?
As a vegan athlete? As a vegan athlete, I mean, it's very much like wherever you are as a team, whether it's in America or in Europe, it's kind of like a tribe mentality. Where it's like kind of poking at someone, kind of raise your stature up. And so I got poked a lot initially, and I was very insecure, and I would just kind of get the flames going higher, where I would just be like, well, you don't understand, like you can do this, and they're like, oh really? And so I kind of realized quickly, like the best way to combat is just like
be an example.
Self-deprecating humor.
Oh really?
And so like especially overseas, I get teased a lot, like bunny rabbit,
and you just embrace it.
Yeah, or like one of my Polish teammates who was like 18, and when I'm like 30, he's like, Dustin, what are you doing? Like, because everyone's eating like their soup, and I get my vegan soup. He's like, what are you doing? Your food's here. It's right behind you. I looked, and it was like a plastic plant. And I'd be like, no, I already grabbed some grass outside. I'm pretty full, actually. And so, like, you make fun of yourself more than the person next to you.
Yeah.
Then I think
it's not fun for them.
Exactly. I was just thinking that.
Not only is it not fun for them, but I think it like kind of dissolves everyone's egos, where it's kind of like, oh, you think you're better than me?
Yeah.
Or it's like, this guy thinks he's worse than me. And so I've kind of learned to always be there with a compassionate hand out. And if they want to take it, that's great. And if they don't, that's also great.
Yeah.
And
so you didn't stoop down. You led with compassion. Even if they don't want it, you still held your ground in a nice way.
Exactly. Because like, even with the ego, you can tell someone like, hey, you should breathe. Like the air is great. You're going to survive. And the person's going to be like, no, I'm not going to breathe. Like, just go blue in the face.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting journey being more comfortable with myself and not taking things so seriously, because at the end of the day, it's my personal preference. I think it's the right preference, and the preference that more people need to take and be open to, but people are going to come to it their own way. And I think the message I want to put is how not only we can thrive, but we can live in abundance. And I like to do this with my smoothie bowls.
Yeah. Well, same with Nicole. She's really about like abundant eating, variety, colors, and I think that's something people who aren't vegan don't think of as vegan. They think it's sacrifice and restriction and limiting, but it's so not.
Do you find that any of your teammates were influenced by you going vegan?
Yeah.
Or like maybe they
So it's actually been a really hot topic in our gym, because some people around the program are not, say it nicely, not convinced that a plant-based diet is optimal for athletes. But one of my roommates, who at first I was telling him, you gotta go. I'm telling him about David Carter, everything. Like, hey man, joint pain, inflammation. Because on the volleyball team, like I'm like the smaller guy. I'm only 6 feet, and so I'm not jumping. But other guys, they're jumping, they're landing. Shoulder, back pain.
Yeah, it's a lot of physical like turmoil. I feel like
even the guys that are like 22 coming out of college are popping tons of pills to deal with the pain. But my buddy that I've lived with for 4 years, and I've been best friends for maybe 10 years. I told him, you gotta go. It's like, hey man, you do your thing, I'll do mine. But we started living together. I started cooking for him, because I'm like, hey man, I'll cook. And so he would eat. He started to feel pretty good. And then I heard, we went to the professional team in Italy. He cooked entirely plant-based for himself as well in the kitchen. So he'll still do like some fish once in a while when he goes out. But he lives by it too. He's been able to cut his ibuprofen. He really doesn't take anything now. And
so cool.
It's been fun going on the journey with him. We make juices together.
That's
and so
awesome.
it's like, it's pretty cute. But more and more guys have gone plant-based, maybe a little meat here or there, but like are becoming
really starting to do more good, you know?
More conscious about whole food plant-based diet, about juicing rather than about getting turmeric, ginger, taking black pepper with their turmeric rather than just reaching for ibuprofen or Tylenol.
Awesome.
So it's been really cool, not because it's like I'm team vegan and you're on my side, but it's like, that's great, like you're becoming more aware, conscious, and like you're becoming your best self through food, nutrition, and also, you know, I can go on and on, but like helping the environment, helping the animals.
So I feel like from what you said, you went vegan for like a performance standpoint, like you wanted to improve your performance as an athlete. How did you stay vegan after that? Like, was it something more than that, or is it just simply that you see the results with your performance?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The foundation I was built on was for performance, energy, recovery. I just felt better, less digestion, which means I had more energy. I didn't have to nap throughout the days.
Yes.
So I could work twice as hard. Because as I mentioned, I really had to work my way up, not only in high school and college, but professionally. I started at a very low level, and it took me 4 years just to get to like one of the better leagues.
Right.
So it was purely professional. I read China Study, then it was like long-term health as well. I'm like, I'm in. And then it actually took me, I would say 2.5 years, because I remember where I was sitting, where I just had watched one too many like vegan influencers post a video of like Factory Farm. And of course, you know, I wanted to be ignorant to it, and I just swipe it up, but it was like maybe 100 times swiping it up. And so it was like maybe like over 2 minutes of watching it. And I thought about it, I was like, whoa, I was like, it's wrong.
Yep.
Absolutely wrong.
It clicks.
And for me, it's like, there's so many questions about life, but it's just like, I want to find the truth and how I can be my best self, build the best foundation, so then I can give that out. I can give that energy and love out to people that are close to me, that I love, and even those that maybe I'm not even aware of, like the animals. And so it became clear to me that it was much bigger than performance. And even if someone were to hand me the science today and be like, you'd be 10% better, 20% better, you are for sure a lock to be an Olympian, say no, because I know the truth and I know this isn't right.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah.
It's a slow journey, but
did you notice an immediate difference when you switched, like energy wise?
Yeah, so the big thing for me is when the time I switched, I was still kind of this like alpha macho personality.
I can't even imagine you being like that though.
And I mean, yeah, there's like two lives. But and again, everything kind of started at the plant base. And so the big thing I didn't want was like the gains and losing weight.
Yeah.
And I initially went vegetarian after watching Forks Over Knives, but I had no clue what I was doing, because I watched it and I was just like, all right, I'll take the meat out and put the same amount of volume but broccoli in, and I just like shed weight, and I was just like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
So Rich Roll's book and Thrive as well, it kind of like laid out like what I need to eat. And I kind of went overboard with like this misconception of like protein.
Yeah.
And I was just eating like a ton of protein. My meals were just absolutely huge, where I was just like destroying my like stomach, eating as much as possible, as much beans as possible.
Well, that's what they say, you have to eat so much, and people don't realize that it just means like don't deprive yourself and make sure that you're satiated, but it doesn't mean like gorge yourself at
Absolutely.
the same time.
Absolutely.
Such a thing. Like people,
I've done that too.
I still feel like a lot of people go back on veganism just saying like that they weren't getting enough protein on a vegan diet, and it's so crazy to me, because I feel like you really had to have been depriving yourself then of something.
Yeah, it's so funny, people say that as if they have like a protein meter, like they're like they have like a Fitband, and it's like not getting enough protein. It's like, sorry, I gotta cut this.
Time for some eggs.
So I actually found the opposite, because when I first went, I was eating like the 800 grams of like beans.
Yeah.
So like the massive size of beans for each meal.
800 grams of beans?
So
it just clicked in my head. I was like, that's I don't only know
that's like 2 cups, right? Or
yeah. So I was doing these huge bowls of like rice, vegetable, avocado, because I was just like, I'm gonna go up I'm gonna exaggerate as much as I can. And it took me a couple moments where I was like lazy, didn't want to go to the store. Yeah. And my roommate, I lived with 2 Americans at the time, had like the regular can of beans, not the supersized ones. So I had that, and I'd use that with my bowls, and I was like, oh, I feel like good after eating. I was like, this is great.
15-ounce can versus a 33-ounce can.
I remember when high carb, low fat was really big, and they're like, eat as much as you want, make yourself sick. And then one day, I didn't have the option to eat so much, and I was like, wow, I feel really good not killing myself to eat like huge meals.
Yeah, and so that kind of began the progression of like experimenting with myself, because overseas the routines are so clear. It's like Monday through Friday you train, Monday, Wednesday you lift, Saturday you play a game, Sunday free. So I would experiment, and 2 years later I started messing around. So once I started with the small cans of beans, I did that for dinner as well. Didn't lose size, had more energy, and then when I got to France 2 years later, I started messing around with raw and like really getting into smoothies and salads. And I noticed when there'd be some times where I was like, I want like a hearty, heavy cooked meal in the winter, like before practice, and I'd do that. And during practice, I'd feel a little slow. And at the end stretching, I'd just go back throughout the week, like what changed, new lifting program, what was it? Did I not get enough sleep? And it was always coming back to I had a cooked meal during the day. And so from there on, I until today, I do raw all the way up until my last practice of the day, just because I have so much more energy that way.
Interesting.
And so it's still something I want to learn more about, but I just do a lot of smoothies and ice cream, smoothie bowls, and I feel at my best at that way.
Right. Yeah, you have to listen to your body and really fine tune it. I bet you're really hyper aware of how you feel with every meal because you're an athlete and because it's so routine.
Yeah, you really notice it, and I almost don't like to eat out because you really don't know what they're cooking with. I mean, vegan restaurants are great because they're so upfront. They'll say organic. One of my favorite places to eat is Al Luck, and then I don't know if you've ever been to Long Beach Under the Sun. They're both raw restaurants where like I'm leaving, I'm like vibrating. I'm like, oh. Yeah, it's a fun journey, and that kind of led me into like the other side, where the more philosophical side, conscious side, whereas before it was like, for me it was like a graph, and it was like the stronger I am, the better I am at volleyball, the higher up on the national team, the better league I'm playing in, the more girls like talk to me, like the happier I am. And awesome. It took me until I went to Brazil, because in Brazil, like that's kind of like volleyball is king. Like you play volleyball in Brazil, you're cool. You play volleyball in California, it's like, great, that's good for you. But I get to Brazil, and like as soon as I arrived, there's like 10 cameras in my face and doing a press conference, and I'm like, I guess I'm pretty cool now. Brazil. Or I was like, I made it, and I was gonna play with this setter. Setter's kind of like the quarterback in volleyball, and this guy had won so many like gold medals with the national team, won an Olympic gold medal, all the Brazilian leagues, played in Italy as well. Beautiful wife, beautiful children. He had brought back the team to his home city. It was like the first time in 18 years. People would just chant his name, always on TV, like everything I wanted he had. Like drove the nicest car in Brazil. And I was like, this guy is like where I'm gonna be one day. Until like month after month, and I just realized like he was miserable and how he treated people. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. Like he has everything. Why is he so miserable? Like he has a beautiful wife, beautiful kids. Money, fame, power. Why is he miserable? And in contrast, we had this lady that would clean our locker room who was getting maybe $10 a week. And she would have her kids come in and help her. And I would assume like they would be so embarrassed and shy because they had to clean a locker room in front of like professional athletes. But they were so grateful that they could be with their mom. And so one day, pretty much this day, changed my path of life. I was talking in my broken Portuguese with her son, and he had like a Puma watch that was like Muma or something. It was like complete rip-off. And I was like, hey man, like, que legal, like I like your watch. And he's like, thanks. And I just wanted to make him feel good because he's such a cool kid. But his mom and him came back to me 2 days later. They can't pronounce D's in Portuguese. They say just. They're like, just. She's like, I want you to take the watch. My son wants to give it to you. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, she's making $10 a week. I was like, no, I can't. She's like, no, please take the watch. And I looked at the kid, and the kid was like, please can't take the watch. And so he gave me the watch, and I like, as I took that watch, I still have it, and I was just like, everything, like everything I've been working towards, like my priorities and values, like everything is wrong. And I was like, kind of confused and hurt for a while. But then I was like empowered, and I was like, great, no, I'm gonna start a new path.
That's amazing, because like, what is life about if you're just living to take and to get for yourself? Like you're living in the world, but you're not a part of it, you know?
I used to work in finance for many years, and so I would manage these super rich people's portfolios. So I saw a lot of people that had everything you could ever dream of, like multiple houses in different areas, and the nicest cars, and more money than they literally knew what to do with. And they were so miserable and so unhappy. I mean, some of them were happy, but like I think not because it wasn't related to that at all. It was because they had found something inside themselves to be happy for. They found like a purpose in life. Whereas like I feel like a lot of people, they chase the money, they chase the job, they chase the nice car and the nice house, and then they're left feeling like, oh, I got it, but like now I need the next thing, and now I need the next thing, and then there's nothing really like inside that's fulfilling them.
So going back to kind of my overseas life, like there's always just like tons of loneliness and just like time by myself, like relationships are usually ruined because of the distance. And so there was one time where I had lost everything. Like I lost my long-term girlfriend. I was in like a place I didn't want to be. Team sucked. Everything was like wrong to how my personal preference was.
Right.
And I stumbled upon this ancient like Roman philosophy called Stoicism.
Yeah.
And it talks about this. It's called the hedonic adaptation. Because before Stoicism, cynicism, there was just hedonism. And it was just like, do whatever you want. Like, if it makes you feel good,
whatever feels good,
do it and do as much as you want. But here's the thing, like you adapt to it.
Yeah.
And so modern authors of Stoicism give a modern example, and it's with transportation.
Yeah.
Say you have a bike and you're just like, I just had a car, it'd be easy to go to work, I can do everything else, transport my groceries, it'd be so easy. And you get a car. You're so happy. I have a car. I can go to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods.
And then the novelty wears off.
Novelty wears off. I want a nicer car. You know, that guy has a Tesla, or you know.
Yeah.
And now I want 2 Teslas. I want a helicopter, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
same thing for relationships. Same thing for houses. Maybe it's the quality of your goji berries, you know, or matcha. You know, there's always something more, and you get caught in this adaptation or this treadmill.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, a lot of rich people hit depression or suicide because they're not aware of it, and they're not aware of the abundance, and they don't take the time to be grateful for what they already have.
Right.
And so this was really interesting to me, and just being conscious of it, because obviously, you know, there's gonna be times where we wish we have more, but we can catch ourselves and like we live in Southern California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that what you do? Do you catch yourself when you're having that feeling of like maybe not being grateful or wanting more or whatever? What's the thought, like walk us through the thought process that you have to get yourself from that place? Because I'm sure a lot of
You've read a lot of books.
Yeah, can relate to that.
Yeah.
Where you know you could be more positive, you know you're being negative, you know you're dwelling, but what do you do to get yourself to that next level to where you flip it?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. So daily meditation practice, mindfulness. I'm always trying to learn different ways to meditate, but right now, like just
you
a mindfulness.
You put up your daily schedule too of what you do. I
Yeah,
loved that.
if we want to get into that, that's like something that's like really helped me. So mindfulness meditation practice. So what I sit down usually for 20 minutes in the morning and at night.
Right.
I'm going through a difficult time, maybe a little longer. But I just sit, I close my eyes, I focus on the breath coming in and out of my nostrils. And when I catch myself thinking, maybe sometimes there's lots of different thoughts. Maybe it's a creative thought. I'll like run with it. And I was like, all right, like mind, psyche, like what do we got? Like show me. And I go with it.
I never do that.
Maybe sometimes I'm like stressing out or I'm worried. I just like observe it. And just like a cloud, I just observe it until like it dissolves. And it's just like, I'm like, all right, back to the breath. Starting the day with things I'm grateful for. I love to journal. And then
do you do like mindfulness pages, or do you write out what you're grateful for? I want like the deets.
Okay, I got you.
We need
So
specifics.
in the morning, 3 things I'm grateful for. My intention for the day. Usually my intention for like training, what I'm gonna work on.
Okay.
And then 3 things I want to accomplish today. That can kind of be a little difficult because again, a lot of it comes with like this list that I have. But 3 things I would like to focus on or be a little intentional off the court.
Okay.
Because I think, especially with athletes, it's like go in, you work hard, you bust it, and then you go home and it's just like turn off.
Yeah.
But it's like eventually sports is going to be done. I want to keep on evolving as a person, as a brother.
You want to build a life, not just like a career.
Yeah, you're a person, not just
exactly.
an athlete.
What the Stoics recommended was negative visualization. And so at first when I read it, I thought it was like a little dark and actually a little like odd and scary, but they give the example of 2 different fathers and 2 different fathers that eventually lose their child, something that no one would ever want. One father puts his child to bed every night and assumes that he'll always have her. She's gonna outlive him, and doesn't really take her. It's not that you're not taking her for granted, but just you just expect it. You just expect that they're yours.
Yeah.
That's your baby, and you'll always have it. The other father, putting his daughter to bed, thinks vividly of a life without her. Losing her, how hard it would be, the agony that he would face, and he comes back to reality where he still has his daughter there, and the joy that overfills him, and the intention and purpose for having that chance again to living another day with her.
Yes.
And so maybe they give examples like instead of putting her off, you make that time with her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like kind of the same thing. I'm sure you guys have had a dream where you lose someone close to you, and all throughout the dream you lose it, and it's just one more day, just I would tell her I love her, you know, and then you come back and you're like, oh, at least for me, and then like I really don't even act on it, you know. It's just like, oh, well, they're still there, you know.
It's that I get to every day,
yeah,
versus like, oh, I have to do this, because like nothing in life is really solid. Everything can go away.
Everything's impermanent.
Yeah, I know with negative visualization, a lot of people think it's kind of a negative way to think, but it really isn't. It's really not taking for granted things and being pleasantly surprised when they are still there.
Yeah, it seems like it's more about the like after the fact, like the act of gratitude that comes from realizing that if you didn't have this person in your life, that you would like, you know, those, it brings up those feelings where you're like, like you said, when you have a dream and you're like, oh my God, they're still here.
Absolutely.
I get another day to tell them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I hear it all the time from former teammates of like, oh, life outside of volleyball is tough. I wish I can still play. And so I was like, all right, if that's the case, it's like, I'm going to practice negative visualization for volleyball. Awesome. And it's just like, I feel like myself being retired, not having volleyball, and be like, I wish I can play volleyball. And I snap back open. I was like, I have another day to train. Instead of just like, oh, training sucks or whatever. Yeah. Or like we train at Anaheim, it's like, it's so hot in here. And it's like, it's so hot. I'm with my guys. I get to train. I get to smile. I get to push. And I'm so grateful for today. And here's the thing. You can do that for one day. It's great. You can do that for every day of your life. I think you're building something special because now you're living with so much intention, purpose, and presence each and every day, no matter where you are, in the gym, in the studio,
really
whatever it is.
Your outlook on life.
Exactly.
I love that you went down that road though, because I think a lot of times we hear happiness is a choice or positivity is a choice, and it just seems too vague and broad. And people might want to make they might want to make those changes and they might want to be more positive. But I think it's really important to have these kinds of conversations where you talk about the specifics of how you get yourself to that place, because I think you struggle with it so much.
Absolutely, and that's just kind of been my search for the truth, and I think we can learn so much from like the ancients, whether it be Roman philosophers or like Eastern yoga masters. And so that's been the fun part for me, especially when I'm overseas, where it's like a lot of guys that play on the national team hate it, and as soon as they're done with the national team, they stop because they hate it, because you're alone, you're usually in a town. Tons of pressure that shouldn't be on your shoulders. Very insecure coaches that take their angst out on you. Maybe you can't even speak the same language with your guys, but it's easy to be and focus on that scarcity where you can see the abundance, like I get to live in a new culture. I get to experience their values, their priorities. Does that resonate with me? Do I want to take that back? Do I want to go back to California? Do I want to live somewhere like this? And so being open to that, and also the time spent alone. And for me, it's like, you know, in California, we really don't have seasons, but over there, you really do have those seasons. And for me, it's like 6 months of hibernation, where it's just like, I'm going to read, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to journal, I'm going to see and ask the questions, who am I, who do I want to be, and how do I get there? And how can I do that while empowering others around me, even if it means I'm not getting anything back? And so I really enjoy that hibernation period, and just finding the truth that others have spent their whole lifetime finding.
What are some books that you would recommend if people are watching this and they're like, well, what does he read while he's hibernating? I need to read these books. What would you recommend?
A Guide to the Good Life is by far the best introduction to Stoicism I've read, because a lot of Stoic books are just journals or manuscripts from ancient Stoics who lived in a completely different time than us.
I have one of those, and I've never read it. It was a gift, and I still haven't actually gone all the way through it. I don't even remember this. I just know exactly where it is on my bookshelf, because it just seemed. I didn't realize. Maybe? No, I just didn't realize that the way that you're describing Stoicism, that it's not just about being a detachment. That it's about like a thought process to get you back to gratitude. I've never seen it as a tool in that way. I thought it was about detachment.
So that's the knock on Stoicism. Like the big S for Stoics is much different than a Stoic, where it's just like the small S, no emotion. The Stoics, they talk about like developing your own personal philosophy to live the best life. And you know, life, there's going to be pitfalls, there's going to be agony, but the thing is, like, we don't want to have that bleed into not only people around us, but days after, years after. And so a lot of these books give advice to people when they lose someone, where it's like, again, there's mothers that believe like their child is their baby and it's theirs.
My dog.
And that attachment with the ego, where it's just like, with Stoicism, you can realize the impermanence of life.
Yes.
And same with like a lot of other different teachings, but it's like, once you can be conscious of that, this can be taken from me at any time. And you prepare yourself for that. And by preparing yourself for that, you also are able to take more abundance in having that person, that thing, your job in your life at this moment.
I love that.
So Guide to a Good Life by William B. Irvine. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He's one of the, he was like the last of the great Roman emperors. Yeah. So he ruled Rome and was a Stoic. And then overall, one book I really like is Untethered Soul.
Yeah.
I love that. I just am reading.
It's in my Amazon basket. I just also
I've never heard that book before. It's like, you know, when you hear book recommendations like multiple times and you're finally like, all right, I'm going to get it. That's one I've heard before.
I read that when I was sick with IC.
Really?
Yeah, I had a kidney problem and I like couldn't even get out of bed. And that's when I started reading all these books because nothing was in my control. And I just had to take every day because when you have a chronic illness, you never know what your day's going to look like. You never know if you're going to be able to get out of bed. You never know if you're going to be able to eat like a full meal. Like, it's just really stressful, but you just let go and you take into account what you have and you really embrace the days that you do have good. It's just like, great, that book's good. Read that book.
Okay. Yeah. And then another one kind of off the topic, but again, kind of going back with my, just kind of like my craving to learn as much as I can is Sleep Smarter, because sleep is such a big, has such a big impact on our life.
Nicole's having
like the universe
time
is
right now. Yeah, or not sleep time, but
like all these sleep podcasts and things are coming into my life. So
yeah,
I hear you, universe.
What is that book about?
So Sleep Smarter, it's this author, I forget what he had, but he had some debilitating disease when he was younger. I think it was like a back problem, but got big into health, nutrition, and sleep to kind of cure it. And it's really easy. It's 25 chapters, and it's like a tip for getting a good night's sleep. So it could be something like getting sun as quick as you can throughout the day, grounding, so your foot on grass or sand, having a caffeine curfew, which has been it's huge for me overseas in Europe because it's so dark, so cold. Like you need something to get you through the evening training. Cutting off blue light, or I love wearing my orange glasses. Yeah. And then just understanding sleep cycles as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's beneficial to get 8 hours of sleep rather than 8 hours and 40 minutes of sleep.
Yep.
And so
you have to wake up at the right time.
Yeah.
Feel refreshed. Yeah.
There's a really good podcast on Deliciously Ella. I'll link it below, where the author of a book called Why We Sleep was on, and he talked about the different sleep cycles and how, like, when dreams happen and why they're all beneficial, and also how when you sleep, your body gets rid of these proteins, that if these proteins build up in your body, they've been directly linked to Alzheimer's. So getting enough sleep is connected to so many diseases that, you know, we're learning so much about sleep now. So yeah, I'm on a sleep education kick at the moment.
Yeah, same with gray matter. And then for athletes, there's like a window of like when your body produces human growth hormones, and that's only from 10 to 2.
And isn't that you can't get a lot of light too? I know my brother used to train and he used to sleep with like blackout curtains.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as black as possible.
Sorry, that's really annoying.
As black as possible. You want it cold because our skin has light receptors as well. So just like our eyes.
Even like a tiny bit, like sorry, I geek out on this stuff, but even the like sleep masks, they don't work that well because you can feel it in your skin.
You can get it in your skin. Yeah. They did a test where they shined a light, like everything else was dark.
We listened to the same podcast.
I know. So they shined a light like right behind someone's knee. Everything else was dark, and it disrupted sleep.
Absolutely. And so it's funny, like my last girlfriend I had, we were both like sleep dorks, so we're like in bed
sleep
at night.
Dorks.
We had like a blue, or we had white noise. Oh, for sure, no phones. We had airplane mode, white noise. We had like essential oils going off.
Yep, that's me.
We had our reishi and like ashwagandha tea.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't go to bed without our ashwagandha tea, so it was pretty funny. We were like
so cute.
As dorky as we can be.
But you notice it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Good sleep.
Oh, absolutely. If I wake up after a good sleep, like you have that foundation, like you fill yourself up. It's like having a coffee cup full of water, you know. Yeah. Now, like throughout the day, it's gonna drain, but you know you have so much to give.
Yeah.
But it's same thing. Now you have to you don't wake up with energy. Now you have to like source out different things of energy, especially coffee.
Yeah. What's the deal with too much sleep? Why is it bad to get too much sleep?
I've never heard that.
Oh, who said that?
Oh no, when you talked about 8 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh yeah, because you're just waking up like at the middle or end of a cycle.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So the thought is like to get full cycles.
Yeah.
So like hours, like complete hours.
Complete hour and a half.
There's this app you can use. It's not super accurate, but it's good if you're introing into this stuff. I think it's called Sleep Cycles, and it tracks. I guess it's harder when there's two people in the bed with you and Jesse, but you can try it out. It tracks how much movement you have, and that's how it tracks when you're in deep sleep, and then it'll wake you up between a certain amount of time when it notices there's like vibrations in the air or whatever from you like breathing or turning.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's
I
meant
have
to
my
wake
chihuahua
you up
too,
yeah.
so it's not gonna work.
But for any of you out there, if you're single sleepers, it's so good. Maybe you can track Zoe's sleep cycle.
She's good. She's golden. She gets like a perfect amount of sleep, I'm sure.
I want that life.
I know. That's so interesting.
The best way, what they recommend is just go to sleep at the same time, wake up same time. For me, that's like absolutely impossible.
Right. Especially when you're traveling
schedule.
and like jet lag and stuff.
Right?
Yeah. But I mean, that's the way because you just prime your mind. Or to have a room where they recommend like it's only for sleep and sex. Yeah. And there's like different things too where it's so weird about the room where it's like if you have a TV in your room, you're gonna have 50% less sex.
Right.
So different little things where it's like, yeah.
Wow.
Weird.
I never heard that about sex. I heard that about sleeping.
Yeah.
Man, guys. Important.
So it's a good thing if you want to extend your closet space, be like, hey, we got to get good sleep. We got to have another room with a full closet. We're just going to have it. We're just going to have the room for sleep and sex. We have to get another room just for the closet.
Viewers everywhere like throwing their TV. And I'm sure sleep affects so much of your training and just being the best person you could be.
Absolutely. It's no fun being cranky.
No, it's not.
I'm curious to know if, practicing like this gratefulness and like being more mindful of things, if it comes more naturally to you now that you've like kind of like studied this and maybe retrained your mind, or if it's still something that you have to kind of like
work on
talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Talk yourself through.
Yeah, so that's a good kind of segue into, I have this thing called a list. And so kind of the same time when I started going big into mindset books, I just realized I was like, I'm not doing anything like when I'm in Finland. And it's like, I have an excuse, like it's cold, it's dark, whatever. I go lift every day, I'm fine. But I wasn't playing that well, team wasn't playing that well. And I go to bed every day and I was just like I did nothing today. I just played computer games. I was like, I gotta do more. Next day, same thing. And it was like 2 more months of that. I was like, all right, I gotta like hold myself accountable. So I started this list and it was just like 4 simple things. At the time, like I didn't stretch and I had a Russian coach that was like, you need to stretch. So I was like, all right, stretching. I'm gonna limit computer games. I'm gonna read and I'm gonna go lift every day. So I had 4 tasks.
Yeah.
And even at that, like I didn't do a really good job. And so at the end of the week, or for each day, I would cross it out, whatever I did. At the end of the week, I would look before my game and see how I did. And usually, how proficient I was at accomplishing these tasks, the better I played. And there'd be some weeks where I'd just be lazy and play computer games and I wouldn't have good games because I really wasn't prepared. And so I continued that, and now it's like up to 23 different tasks throughout the day.
Wow.
So it can be something as simple as like getting my algae or creatine in my smoothie, or it can be stretching at night, meditation. And so with my meditation practice, I try to make it a habit where it's like first thing when I wake up, I do it. But so often we're traveling, we're jet lagged, I'm in a hotel room with my buddy, or it's kind of awkward. But with the list, it holds me accountable. And like I mentioned, like Rich, I have like this addictive personality where it's like, it's a game. I want to cross it out. I don't want to have to circle things I didn't accomplish. And at the end of the week, I add it up. And so it's a fun little game with me, and it just holds me to my values and priorities. And sometimes when I don't want to do it, it's just like, well, like, who are you? Like, are you a man to your word? Like, a man to your priorities? You say one thing, but you're not doing it. And so I'm kind of able to catch myself and hold myself accountable with these lists. And so it's been cool kind of sharing it. And same thing, a lot of people ask me, a lot of younger athletes, what can I do? I want to be pro. And it's just like, they want the silver bullet, which I understand now in this day, everyone has like a hack or something. And it's like, oh, you do this one drill, or do this, eat this bowl, and you'll be an athlete. And it's just like, you know, it's you have to be process oriented, and you have to sacrifice things. When I was younger, I sacrificed a lot of my free time. After I was 25, I started sacrificing a lot of partying, drinking. Don't drink anymore. So you have to sacrifice and really take some time and make a list. And it's like, what are things that are going to lead me down this path that I believe is the right path to be my best self? Right. Whether it's an athlete, maybe a teacher, Vegan View host. And then from there, you hold yourself accountable. And it's just something it's very simple. You cross it out. Things you do, you circle things you don't. And this has really helped me a lot. And it can be difficult, like the days, but when you look back after an 8-month span, it's like, oh, I accomplished a lot. And so a different way I like to hold myself accountable is I use this technique called Pomodoro technique. Oh. You heard that? Yeah. The little timer thing. So Pomodoro is, I don't think I pronounced it correctly, but it's Italian for tomato.
Oh, the tomato timer.
And the inventor was in Italy and had these tomato timers. And so what you do is there's like 4 steps. Is you decide on a task. So say it's like, I want to read. And then you set a timer. I want to read for 40 minutes. So
I do that sometimes.
Turn off your phone, turn off your computer, which pretty tough telling someone that lives in California to do that.
Oh yeah.
But take out all distractions, kind of go in a model with this book, The Deep Work. And then you do set task, and you do it all the way until the timer hits. And then after that, depending how you feel, give yourself 10 minutes. Do whatever you want. Turn on your phones, go through it. But once that timer hits, now to a new task.
That's what I do all the time, because I have so much trouble completing tasks. And when I found that book, and I've also read Deep Work, about deep work, it's so good, because I'm actually finishing stuff, and I'm actually enjoying the time spent, because I know it's limited. And I know as soon as this is done, like, onto something else.
And it helps with things like, I would imagine with a lot of times if you get lost in the Instagram vortex, for example, you can feel really bad afterwards, because you feel like you wasted time and you went down this whole rabbit hole and you've done nothing with your day.
Pomodoro for Instagram.
It's not that you can't do things that you like to do, like going on Instagram, but maybe limiting that time. I think that's a really good tip. I also like that you circle the things that you don't accomplish, because I like that you hold yourself accountable and you pay as much attention to the things that you're crossing off your list as you do the things that you aren't accomplishing, because I think a lot of times we live in a culture where it's like, well, you tried your best. And I think sometimes like we can all push a little bit harder than we do, but it's very like popular right now to just
give
like about
like
self-care, like don't stress. And I totally believe that.
Love yourself.
On self-care, Nikki.
No, I know. I love self-care too, but I also think that sometimes like you need to hold yourself accountable, and like your actions do.
Nikki always says, don't break promises to yourself.
Exactly.
But I mean, not that I would never do. I do all the time. But I like that you have that conversation with yourself, and you use that as a tool to like sharpen yourself.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, we're in LA, and like I'm kind of new to the LA scene, but it's like everyone's trying to make it. Everyone's trying to make it. Like, what separates you from someone else? And it's like taking the time and being intentional and purposeful with your day, with your minutes. It can be something as simple as like bringing a book with you, and while you're waiting for an appointment, you read a little bit, and that's going to pan out over time. But for people that are like, I want to make it, I want to do whatever it takes, it's like, all right, well, make a list.
You can talk all you want.
Yeah, make a list.
You have to be intentional and goal-oriented.
Your actions speak louder.
It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, so it's like you have to be putting in that work every single day.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, there's some days when I'll use the Pomodoro technique and I'll catch myself on the phone, or the big thing is like I'll be reading, phone goes off, okay, I check the phone, back, phone goes off, oh, what was it on Instagram, what was on Twitter, and for an hour you read 2 pages, and you don't really feel like you were like distracted, but that's not what happened. And so with this, it's like the accountability, it keeps you, at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror, and did I uphold myself to the values and priorities that is going to take me to get to where I want to be, or did I slouch off? And it's like, okay, if you slouch off, fine. Like, but it's like, don't tell yourself you'll do anything to get, or you have these goals, and I just don't know why I'm not making it.
Oh, I know.
It's so true.
I think we're all guilty of that too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we all know that like deep down we could be doing something.
Like
we could be doing a little bit more to get to where we want to be, but like we do hold ourselves back a lot of times. And I think a lot of that is like just like mentally.
Yeah.
But like by crossing stuff off a list, like that's a good boost of self-esteem. Like, hey, I accomplished some stuff.
Absolutely. So like one of the first things I do is just make my bed and say thank you. And it's like something I don't really want to do. I don't want to make my bed when I wake up, but it's like that first decision. It's like, do I want to do something I don't want to do? And it's like, yes, because I'm gonna like win the day.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cross that off. I get up, I make my bed, I go sit down, I meditate, and then it just like rolls out a bunch of habits. I go and make a good tea, I make a smoothie, and then like from there,
about
I'm just
like your
boom.
day. Like, so you wake up with this feeling, and then you start your day.
Yeah. So do you want to hear European day or American day? Because it differs a lot.
Ooh. Surprise me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I touched on this, but I pretty much every year I'm almost changing. I've lived in Finland 2 years.
Right.
South of France. I lived in Brazil. I lived on an island in France called Corsica.
Yeah.
North of France, 2 years in Poland, last year in Berlin, and then next 2 years I'll go in Poland. So it differs a lot, but usually the routine is pretty much the same. Monday morning I wake up, we have lifting, we'll have training after that, we'll have a block, and then we'll train. So what would normally look for me, I wake up around 6:37.
Make your bed.
Make my bed. Make it as best as I can.
I'm like really living this in my mind.
I love this. There's something about a made bed that just like you immediately feel better when you make your bed, and then to come home to it at night.
Oh yeah, and you're like, I'm gonna get inside.
Okay, so make the bed.
Make the bed.
I have a really dope Flower of Life meditation pillow I have. I'll go sit on that, meditate for 20 minutes. Usually do some type
Send
of
me a link.
meditation. I know. I'm like, can I get the link? Like, where do you write your list? Is there a notebook I can buy? Like, give me all the links to all the things.
Yeah, I got you.
You need an Amazon store.
Yeah.
Something.
I like that. So I'll do some type of movement. Usually, like, I'll do like something, some core video. Like, I'll do like some like female YouTube like person and just get crushed by it. But I'll do that. I'll go make a green smoothie bowl.
So something I need to do now.
I like putting, I'll get you on it. I like putting a bunch of kale, parsley, cucumber, bananas, dates, oats on the inside. On top, I'll put some broccoli sprouts. If I can, some fresh berries, hemp seeds, maybe some granola, cacao nibs to treat myself because I deserve it for that bed. And then I'll make a matcha. I've been big into medicinal mushroom tea lately, so maybe some cordyceps lion's made. And then I'll pack the rest of the smoothie I made in a hydro flask.
Oh, okay.
Go to train, kill the lift, have my teammates make vegan jokes, but that's okay. Go practice, have my smoothie, come back home, and that's where the real work gets going. Because I have that list, and it's like, all right.
And this list is personal things outside of practice, right? You'd mentioned, or is it still
a little of both? Yeah,
a little bit of both. Okay.
At the end of the day, it's things that are making sure I'm shedding a lesser version of myself on the court and off the court. And so when I do this, it can be anywhere from juicing. I love to juice. I feel great juicing. Yeah. Helps with inflammation.
I love juice.
Me too.
I don't like.
I just want to put that out there.
I don't like cleaning, but it's like it's something.
Really
It's something that's gonna make me feel good. And so it's
Yeah.
like if it makes me feel good, like, and I want to feel good, and I need to feel good to perform well.
Exactly.
And do it. So I'll go home. Usually make a juice. I like watching video on myself on other players on the opposing team because this prepares me to be great. I've been getting big into writing and just writing what I like learning about. I like writing about Stoicism, philosophy, Pomodoro technique.
Yeah.
That's
Do
one
you
of my
publish your
blogs.
writing? Like, do you have
Yeah.
a blog, right?
I just made a new blog, so I'm uploading all my old blogs on there. But
Okay, we'll put in the description below for you guys.
so another thing where I really don't like doing it, but I kind of force myself, and I love it because I learn more about things that are really interesting to me, and to share it, it's almost like kind of empowering. So I like that a lot. And then usually I'll make another bowl or a big salad before training, or do like another meditation. I'll meditate 3 times a day. Go to training, either before or after. I'll get some extra work. Again, it's something that I know I need to commit to. because I still feel like I'm catching up.
Yeah.
And I like this process mindset where I can still be better. Do some extra work, come home, and then I'll usually cook the first meal of the day.
Yeah.
Still be a big bowl, not with the giant can of beans.
Smaller can of beans.
With either like quinoa, brown rice, maybe some type of like new progressive pasta, like a chickpea pasta, red lentil.
Yeah.
And then beans, and then either cooked raw vegetables. I love cooking with cumin and turmeric.
Yes.
Of course, black pepper. And then on top of that, maybe some hummus, avocado. I still get better making bowl dressings, but I'll have that. I'll usually try to limit myself to 1 show a day, and I'll watch that, eating my meal.
What show is it? I want to know.
Yeah, right now.
I want to be my best self.
What have I watched lately? I like kind of like sci-fi, so
Okay.
I haven't been watching a lot of shows this summer, but overseas, like Stranger Things, I like Dark.
I like Stranger Things. Me too.
And just let myself get lost for like
Have
30.
you seen Midsummer?
No, I haven't.
It's supposed to be really good.
Okay. So I'll do that, and then immediately I just start getting into kind of like bedtime mode.
Yeah. Is that when you like turn on airplane mode? And Okay.
Yeah. Being overseas is nice. There's not a lot of people trying to
no
contact me, so
Yeah,
like easy go on
it's
airplane
easy to
mode.
disconnect.
Go on airplane mode. One of the things on my list is keeping my house clean, and I think it's the biggest thing overseas, where it's just like there's so much you can't control.
Yeah.
So much you can't control, but you can always control keeping your house clean. So every day you wake up with like a new foundation to be great.
I'm bad at keeping my house clean.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing I recommend is to keep your house clean, because you're always in control.
Yeah.
And so
That's so true.
And it affects
Never
the way
looked at it like that.
it affects everything.
everything.
You feel out in the world.
Yeah.
I remember being a little kid and like cleaning up my room, like waking up at nighttime, cleaning up my room so that I would
you
feel
feel
fresh for the day, the next day. I think yes, we've already talked about this. But just like I think that the way your home life is affects the way that you are out in the world.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
'cause like you said, like these outside forces, like these outside things are gonna happen. They're gonna add stress to your life, and then if you come home and your house is a mess, that's
it's stressful.
added stress. You're like, I know I should be cleaning the kitchen.
And you
I
just
know
feel
I should be
sloppy.
doing this.
There's like a
Yeah.
sloppiness that
It
you
always
just
feels
feel like you
sloppy.
are sloppy, even
I'm
though it has nothing to do with that.
I'm sure if your house is clean, then when these outside things do happen that are inevitable, you feel more like, I
At
can
least my
handle
house
this.
is clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can handle this because at least I can go home.
Well, it's a
and
cycle.
everything's settled.
You go out to the world, and I mean, for me, like a lot of my life based overseas is like performance.
Yeah.
And again, I can't control all of that. Like I can prepare well, I can get the extra work. But at the end of the day, if I don't have a good game, like I'm gonna get crushed by the coach. And I come home, and the house is the mess. And it's just like whatever. I throw in my bag, and it's just clutter,
I've never
physically,
thought about it this
physically
way.
and
Yeah.
mentally. And that's minimalism is something I really like too.
Right.
And it's just like the clutter outside is also the clutter inside. And so it's just like keeping it sharp. Like that's one thing nice about being overseas. I travel with 2 baggages and that's it. So there's not a lot of stuff I have, and everything is just like quite clear. The clarity's high. I have that intention rather than just coming home and just like throwing my bag, which I've done too.
Yeah.
And it's just like just watch TV, and then like eventually you're just like, I've watched TV long enough, I guess I'm gonna go to bed.
Right.
And you don't get that good sleep, wake up next day with no energy.
Yep.
You have to crush coffee or energy drinks, and then it's
It's a
another
vicious
cycle.
Then you're not getting as good of sleep because you drank caffeine.
Yeah. And so I'll clean my house if there's anything left to be cleaned. I'll start making a tea. I like doing like rishi and ashwagandha, big ashwagandha fan.
What is that? What does it do? What
So
is it?
ashwagandha is a Ayurvedic root. They've been taken in India for thousands of years. The research I've done,
It's in so many things, and I don't know what it does.
absolutely recommend
it's
it.
super hot right now.
Calming.
It's like very hot thing.
So it's a
that and lion's mane. Soup's hot.
Lion's mane is the opposite. Lion's mane is like for focus.
yeah, they're
I
both
think,
they're both
right?
It's
Adaptogenic.
adaptogens. But the research I've seen on ashwagandha for guys raises testosterone, raises energy, boosts muscle size, performance, and also helps you get good sleep.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I take it in the morning with my smoothie and at night with a tea. I love it.
And you sleep early. Or late. Just
When depends.
depends.
Early. So I try to cut off blue light around like 8:30.
Okay.
Stretch for like 20 minutes. I'll meditate for 20 minutes. Go to bed.
That sounds so relaxing.
I want to go do this.
I know. I'm like, I want to stretch before bed.
I hate stretching. It's one of those things where you have to like get into the habit of it.
Once you start doing it, it's better. It's like working out.
Exactly.
It's like the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Exactly.
And I'll help you stretch. You help me clean my house. We'll hold each
I
other
just don't
accountable.
I don't like being bad at stuff, which is so ego, I know, but like I hate when I'm bad at stuff, so then I just don't want to do it. And stretching, I'm not good at, so I'm just like, there's other things I can do instead.
Though.
Yeah.
I'm the same, but when you have the list and you have that like
You're
competitive
always
spirit,
working towards it.
you're like, I don't want to do this, but I also don't want to circle at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I want to I want to highlight it and build that ego.
Yeah. I'm gonna start circling things I don't get done. That's gonna like.
Yeah, so it's good. I mean, I like to recommend people starting with like 3 things. So maybe it's like when you go to bed and you have a clean house. Maybe if like you have
it's gonna be on my list.
Maybe if you have like some inflammation, maybe roll throughout the day.
Yeah.
You have some stress in your life, maybe 5 minutes journaling, just 5 minutes. And then once you start doing that journaling day after day after day, or James Clear, his book Atomic Habits, he recommended a client not work out, just go to the gym every day at the same time. He goes in the gym, checks in, and leaves. And so he has that habit now. So now he has that habit, now he starts working out.
Whoa! My mind is blown over that.
I just love this.
Because that is something that is really hard. Like I have learned to like working out, but it's getting there that is so hard for me. And like having a time that's consistent where I can like get out of bed and just like train yourself to like, now I'm gonna put on my workout clothes. I'm gonna go to the gym. Like I'm gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
Just like,
show up.
That's so smart. I would have never thought about that. Okay, I have a question about the list because I used to actually do this and didn't even realize I was doing it when I worked a desk job. I would but it was so easy because I was at a desk. So throughout the day I would like write down like as things would come up, I need to do this. I'd add it to the list. And then I would make, at the end of the day, anything that wasn't crossed off, I would carry over to tomorrow's list. And I had like a tomorrow list. So that was where I would write all the things that I didn't cross off. But like, for you, since you're out and about and like you're not sitting at a desk all day, when do you write down the things that you need to add to the list?
So I have a sheet, and it's Monday through Sunday, and below that it's like all the micro tasks, and each day it's the same.
Oh, okay.
And so
every day is the same.
Say I'm not juicing for a while, and I'm like, why am I not juicing? It's like, all right, the first thing I'm gonna do the next day is juice. Like I'm gonna,
That's at the top of the
eat the
list.
frog.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna do that like right away and just cross that off. And so if I'm seeing some bad trends, I want to get ahead of that. Or it's like, okay, if this is not helping me be my best self, I can take it off the list. But it's like, all right, if I want to be my best consistently and shed a lesser version of myself, I need to like commit to this.
Yeah. I always think about doing these things within work, but I never carry them into personal. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I so focused on that aspect of my life and not the others? And I love how you incorporate it into your whole being.
Yeah, it's tough for me. It's much easier overseas, but I think a lot of what I do dictates on like kind of social pressure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it too is like when I was younger, I was insecure, and so I feel I get pulled a lot, like, hey, you want to do that? And I'm like, oh, not really, but yeah. But at the end of the day, I look at the list and I'm like, well, like, I need to like step up. Like,
so neat.
Yeah, I can do these things, but at the end of the day, I need to get this done, or at least like most of it done.
That's awesome.
I think for people watching, I think it can seem a little overwhelming when you hear this kind of thing, where you might want to maybe create a list or take some more steps to becoming a more organized person or a more disciplined person, but it seems like too much. But what he said is to start with a couple of things, because I know that for me, whenever I get really motivated, I'll listen to something like this, and I'll get really motivated, and I'll write a long list, and there's like 79 things I'm going to do every day, and then I go to bed feeling like a complete failure, because obviously that's not possible, and you have to build yourself up to that habit like you were talking about. So I like that you said start small, maybe add one thing to your list. You're like, I'm going to do this every day, and if I can do this, then you'll add to that, and just be gentle with the process of growing, you know.
Exactly. Or like going back to James's example, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I know I should meditate, but I just don't have time. It's like, all right, well, like every day wake up at 7 and just sit on your couch, close your eyes, and then get up and do something else and create that habit. And then have that spot. Maybe it's not your normal couch, it's another couch where it's like every time you sit on that couch, that's your meditation couch. So different things like that where you're building a habit without doing the work that you're dreading.
Well, this has been the best episode.
I know.
I'm so excited. I feel like this is just going to improve so many people's lives and inspire them to just be their best, because I feel like veganism is part of becoming your best self. It is least harmed. I feel like veganism is just the first step, and there's so much more you can do.
Because you realize how much power you have.
I think it's a conscious step. I think for a lot of people, you need to be open or just get like nudged enough until you're like, all right, I'm open. But for me, it was like, okay, plant-based, meditation, okay, yoga, minimalism, and it's just like, what else is out there?
Right.
What else can I be conscious to? What else are other people investing in that are making their lives better and what they're growing from? Because at the end of the day, it's like we're evolving or we're not. And so it's just like, I want to evolve like slowly each day. Read a little bit, and once I'm reading for, you know, all those days throughout the month, I finish a book.
Right.
Meditate a little bit, and now in between stimulus and response, it's a wider space where I can choose. Where it can be like something as little, someone cuts you off and you honk. Where it's like someone cuts you off and you're like, well, you're gonna cut me off. Like honking's not gonna do anything. Yeah. And it's just like, and then like you can be like,
reactive.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, I think the big thing, like you said, is with veganism and plant-based. It's like I love meeting people that are plant-based, not because they're on my team, because at some point in their life they decided to be a little more conscious, whether it's for the environment, for themselves, or for the animals. And I have so much respect for that. And not that I'm going to judge people for not being conscious, but for those other people that are taking a step, I can already relate to them. And I know we're going to have a lot more things in common, because
very true.
Once you make that step, you're starting to make more and more and more 100%. And more. And that's the cool journey in life, and meeting more people like that. And not only what can you give to them, but being open and what present is that person giving to you.
Right. No, it's very true. I feel like when you meet a vegan who's really in it because they're consciously consuming for whatever reason, there's something there that you can really bond over. Like with you guys. Yay. Well, this episode was so good. We'll have to link down below all the books, maybe the meditation pillow. You want to send me a link?
And actually, I can't.
Sounds really good.
My goal today is to find a new meditation pillow, because I travel fit in Europe, and so it's in Poland already waiting for me.
Oh, no way.
But I need to find a new one here.
But you need one for today?
And so today is my goal after this.
We'll have to look on Yelp for you.
Go to World Market at the Grove.
Okay.
They have really cute little cushions.
Oh, perfect.
Does it have to be cute? I think it has to be cute, right? Is that part of it?
I think it should be cute.
I don't know why I'm doing this. It's going to be round and cute, guys.
She's like, put your butt right
there.
So we'll link all of that down below. Definitely follow Dustin on his journey.
And then I'll give you the link to the blog, because I've written 3 blogs about the list and kind of how I came about it, and then breaking down everything. I think I have 3 categories where it's like mindset, physical, mindset, nutrition, and physical. Right.
And it's really clearly done. So great person to follow. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow our individual channels as well as this one. Check out our Facebook group, a bunch of cool people in there, and we'll see you soon in a new video. Bye.